Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. I don't know if anyone can tell me if they can hear me before we just start. Looks like you're doing good. All right. Before we start, I'm just gonna go quick about who I am in case some people haven't watched last week live. I'm a student at Ottawa U in psychology. I'm doing my third year thesis on the question of aging. I'm pretty excited about being here today. So that being said, we're gonna get started. So before we start, I want to ask you a question. So I tried the questions part on the live. So we'll see if you can see my questions. So, you should see a question on your computer, which is, what is your definition of a healthy aging? So I'm going to let you a couple seconds to think about it, and then I'm going to give you a couple pieces to think about that question. So I think it's important to think about your definition of a successful and healthy aging. What is your golden standard? Because we do not all have the same, and it's important that you have yours because that's how it's going to go. So, that being said, is your definition of a healthy aging about your physical health, your psychological health, your sexual health, the absence of disease, your social support, like we discussed last week, your cognitive functions, or your independence? Those are all things that some people think about when they think about their healthy aging. Know that there's no good or bad answers. This is your definition again. So I'm gonna give you a couple minutes. If I don't know, someone want to write in the comments what is their definition of a healthy aging. So while you're writing, I'm gonna say that there's no ultimate definition. Even in the research, the important thing, we're going to discuss what they include in their definition. But all I want to say to you, if you have any concerns while we're discussing today, or even though right now, I really encourage you to talk about it with your health practitioner. So, the theories of a successful aging, they say that a low probability of disease or incapacity, a high cognitive and physical function, and an active engagement are all part of a successful aging. So that being said, we're gonna concentrate more today about the high cognitive function, since last week was about the social part, and that next week is gonna be about the physical one. So to enter the main subject, I'm gonna start with a little myth or reality. So you should see something shown on your screen. So there we go. Can you see? Seems like you should see a question on your computer. There we go. So you should be able to vote right now. So what I'm asking is, aging necessarily mean that my memory will badly be impacted? So you can vote on either if it is a myth or a reality. So I see one person saying it's a myth. So I don't know if anyone else wants to try before I give the answer. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. All right. So I'll keep it open for now, even though I discussed the answer. So the person who voted was actually right. It is a myth. Actually, it is true that some aspect of memory will decline with time, but some will also stay stable and even though improve. So actually what we say is that prospective memory, which is not forgetting to remember to do something. So let's say I have not to forget to put my alarm for tomorrow. So that would be perspective memory. The source memory, so knowing, so correctly remembering where the information is coming from, and the deferred remembering without clues are three memory that might decline a bit with over time, but other aspects stay stable and even evolves with time. So that comes with the recognition memory, so deferred remembering but with clues, temporal memory, so knowing the sequence of things over time, and the procedural memory, so knowing how to do things. So those are all things that's going to stay stable or even improve with time. So it is not true when people say that the memory will necessarily decline with time. It is a myth. So we're going to do another one. I have to close this one in order to open the other one. So there we go. You should see another one here, which is there's no big difference between the younger and the older adults when it's come to solving problems. So I'm gonna give you a couple minutes to answer again. So is that a myth or a reality? So solving problems can be different things, not necessarily math problems, but just everyday problems. Just to give you some clues maybe while you answer. So we want to know the difference between the older and the younger adults. So this tends to be a bit a hard one. So I'm gonna give the answer. So actually, uh, I think I have, oh, I still can make it open. So actually, this is reality. There's no difference. Um, the interesting is that for a time, it has been taught, even in the literature, that the younger were better. But actually, the truth is that um, they have different competences that makes it equal. So the faster treatment of younger gets equivalent to the experience when the situations are relevant for the performance. So actually, what that said is that maybe younger adults can be a bit quicker, which is true about the cognitive functions, but the experience can make the result pretty much equivalent. So this is not true again. So now that we've done a couple myths or reality, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Here, what we want to work on is it's actually a questionnaire that you can maybe a doctor can ask. So it's from the Memory Strategy Reporter questionnaire. So now I'm going to show you questions and I want to know what would be your strategies to remember what's asked in the questions. So we're going to discuss good strategy to improve your memory and cognitive functions. So I'm just going to go in questions. I'm sorry. There we go. So you should see on your screen the question, which is Peter has just been introduced to his neighbors. What strategies could help Peter to remember their names? So I don't know if in the comment you want to share some strategies that you could try to remember. So I'll give you a couple minutes to write. So what strategies could Peter use? Actually, some good strategies here if you haven't have one yet. Trying. Oh, Natalie says trying their names, tying their names to something unique about the people you meet. That's actually a good one. Making sure that you have a good description of what you see and make it emotional can really help remembering. Also, you could try some repetition. So say it a couple times, maybe in the discussion or maybe after you just meet them. So that's actually a really good one. So I'm gonna close these questions and I'm gonna ask you another one. There we go. So this one says, Joanne keeps misplacing her keys in the house. What strategy could help Joanne? So I think that's a pretty common problem. Even for me, actually, I'm always getting my keys lost. So, what strategies can we use to not lost our keys? So I'm gonna give you again a couple minutes to answer them in the comments. So, how could we not lose our keys? I don't know if that's a common problem for a lot of you. So, always, Natalie says, always losing my key as well. I think that's a pretty common problem. So, what can we do to avoid losing them? I'd say one good thing is to consciously pose your keys. So, we often just put our keys away when we get home and not really think about it because maybe we have a lot of things on our mind or we want to go fast or I don't know why. So consciously doing things help remembering them. So maybe just pose your key and say, "Oh yeah, I posed my key there in your head." That can help remember where you put your keys. And also always put your keys at the same place. It's an habit that is maybe hard to take at first, but then it can be really helpful. So I don't know if you have a place at your house when you come in that you can put a pot or something, and you always put your keys at the same place, so you know they're there. So that could be the second one. So now that we know how to keep our keys, we're gonna go to another one. There we go. So this one says it's 9 a.m. and Betty has an appointment to get her haircut at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. What strategies could help Betty to remember the appointment? So I don't know if it ever happened to you to forget an appointment or to be really stressed giving them or being stressed about forgetting something. So again, I'm giving you a couple minutes in the chat if you want to try and answer, and then I'm going to give some tips. So an electronic method that can be pretty helpful is making an alarm. So on my end, this really works well. Oh yes, that's what Natalie says too. I always put the appointment in my phone because it rings and it helps you remember. So this could be a really good thing. If you do not have a phone or you're not really electronic friendly, I'd say a paper calendar, which you can bring with you at all times. And again, making things consciously really helps remembering them. So you can say in your head, I have an appointment at 2 p.m. I do not have to forget. So maybe you can put it in your day like, oh, after I eat lunch, I have my appointment. So that remembers you that, oh, I've eaten my lunch. I had something after my lunch. I'm going to go check my calendar. So making you some points in your day when's going to be your appointment can be really a helpful manner to remember your appointments. So we still have a couple ones from all these possible situations. There we go. So this one is Ray is trying to remember the right word in a conversation. What strategies could help Ray in the conversation? That's really a common problem for me, forgetting my words. So what strategies could be a good one here? I don't know if that's something ever happened to you. You know the word, but it just seems not to want to come out. So if you have time, you can do the alphabet in your head. So A, B, C. Sometimes forget my words, especially when I'm nervous. Yeah, when we're nervous, this is really something that happen more. So if you have time to think about the word, like let's say it's not something that you have to say fast, you can do the alphabet in your head. So A, B, C. That's gonna give you clues to remember a word. So that can be helpful if you do not have time to do this. Oftenly we know the word that we want to use. So you can go around it and let's say give the definition of the word. So it's going to make a bit a longer sentence, but still it's going to be pretty much understandable what you want to say. You can also use other words. Also, doing some crosswords or playing Scrabbles or games like this really makes you practice more. So when you're in the conversations, they're more accessible to your thoughts. So we're gonna get to another one. We're almost done. You're doing great. So there we go. We have another question here. So this one is about David. David has promised to water the pot plant for his friend when she goes away next weekend. What strategies could help David to remember to water the plants? Oh, that's important. We wouldn't want the plants to die. So how could David remember to go water the plant? Oh, Natalie says, I'm not sure what strategies to use when speaking to someone. So actually, when you're speaking to someone, if you don't have word games are definitely helpful. So when speaking to someone, if you have the time to think about your word, you can use the alphabet, like to remember. So let's say, I don't know, I want to say plan for this question showing up. So I'm there and I don't remember the plant word. So I could be A, B, C. And when it comes to P, it's like a clue. So my brain's going to remember more easily the word plant. If I do not have time and I'm like in a conversation, I also can go around it and I'm forgetting the word. You know the green thing, that are like growing outside or inside that needs plant water, and you can give like the description of the thing to go around it, and it makes it funny and people won't really notice that you forgot your word. So that could be a strategy too. So, how could we remember to water the plant? So again, a bit like the appointment, we could use our phone to put on an alarm. We could also put it on a calendar. Um, Also, um, we could link it to something that we already do. So let's say that you have plant at your house too. You could say, oh, when I water my plant, I have to go water my friend's plant. Or, oh, she asked me to water it like once a week, and I have, let's say, aquafit once a week. Oh, when I go aquafit, I need to water the plant. So to link it to something that is already accessible to your mind is going to make it easier to remember. So things that are easier to remember, then you link something which is harder, then the harder one's going to come more easily because of the other one. So that could be a strategy too. So we're going to get to our last question for this morning. So our last question, Maxine needs to remember to take different medication at a certain times in a day. What strategy could help Maxine to remember which medication to take at various times? That's a pretty common problem too. Medication with, and it's pretty important too. You cannot misplace your medication or not take the good ones. So this is a really important strategies to have. So again, I'm giving you a couple minutes to try and find some strategies to remember your medication. So, like we discussed earlier, making it consciously really helps. So the first one could be this, like trying to remember, oh, so now right now I'm taking this med, and later today I have to take this med. So talking about it in your head makes it more conscious and can help. If that is not enough, you can also try to order your bottle of pills. So maybe you can do like, where I don't know where you put your pills, but like, oh, those ones are for morning and I'll put it together. Those ones are for later. So that could be a good one too. So this is an option. If not, personally, I'm a big fan of the dosette. Right now, I only have the word in French in my mind, but you know, the plastic thing with like all the days of a week, and then you can have like morning and evening on it. So a dosette. I'm sorry for the French word here. So then if you look at it, oh, I hadn't taken my pills for today, or oh, I already have taken it. So this could also be a really good strategy for your pill. So we're gonna be done about the questions. I'm just gonna close it. So there we go. So in summary, good techniques or strategies include sometimes exterior help, so calendars, list, your phone, things that can help you remember. It also helps to elaborate your own techniques. So it doesn't mean that this technique works for me, that it works well for you. So at some point, repetition can be of help. So saying it more and more time, like with Peter and remembering the name of his neighbors, or some point of reference. So like Natalie suggested, that you linked it with something you know, or like, oh yeah, it's I don't know, Anne, like my hunt, or something like this, so that it's a reference for you. Also, It is really important that you increase your effort during encoding and retrieval. So I'm going to go a bit about it because it's more complicated word. So encoding is the moment when you get a new information and that you want to put it in your mind. So if you're learning about a list of words, let's say, well, the moment that you're going to be looking at it and you're like, oh, I need to remember it, that's the encoding moment. So it has been shown that the more you understand an information, the easier it will be to remember. So trying to really get to the meaning of the thing really helps remembering it. So you can categorize. So this could be a really good way too, because if you have a lot of things to remember, it can be way harder than when you have, let's say, two categories that really easily go together in your mind. Then you only have two things to remember instead of a couple and a lot of things. Then you can summarize. When you do the exercise of being able to take an information and summarize it, is that you have a good understanding of it. So that could be a really good way to understanding better the things. Then you can make some associations. So, like we said, the name of my neighbor is the same as my hunt. Then link it to something you know or something emotional. This is also a thing. We have to think of our brain like a place when there's a lot of roads, we can say. So let's say that you always have the same roads to go to your house, like when you drive, and you want to add another stop. Well, it's going to be easier to remember how to go to that stop. So let's say the grocery store. If it's on the same way as when you go to your house, then learning an entire new road to go to the grocery. So our brain is like the same thing. It's easier when you have the same roads to take than when you're trying to build new ones in your brain. So when you link it to things you know, well, you're using the same roads, so making it easier to remember. So then we're going to go to recalling, so retrieving information. So it has been shown that it's easier to remember when we have clues. So clues from the encoding situation. So when you have like a blank of memory or something, you can go and try to remember what was the situation when you learned the information. So if we go back to watering the plant, for example, and you're like, oh, I don't remember when my friend asked me to go water the plant. Oh, but I remember that I just had finished my aquafit class. So my aquafit class is on Monday. So my friend asked me to water it next week on Monday, so I have to go Monday. So you're using clues from the encoding moment to help you remember what was the information. So that can be a pretty good way to help you recall. It is normal that we need some more time when we try to recall some things, when it's really hard or far away in our mind. So sometimes it can be helpful to just say, oh, give me a minute, I'm not so sure, I have to think about it, and that is okay. We all have some blank of memory sometime. So another trick about is ask to assess your memory. Two heads are always better than one. It is normal that you might have forgotten some things, and it is okay. So you can ask, oh, I don't know, your spouse, your parent, or anybody who could be there with you. Oh, I don't remember what the doctor said, or I don't. When did I have to take this medication? I don't remember what the doctor said. So in those times, it can be pretty helpful to have two heads to think about the topic. Finally, cognitive training is really something that can be really, really, really helpful. So like I said, it's like roads. So the more we're using roads, the best it is, the easier it is to use. So you can do crosswords, like we said, playing Scrabbles, doing Sudoku, playing board games, having a lot of social interactions. Pretty much anything that makes your brain works is really good. it's like physical training. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. So the brain works the same way. So the more you're going to train it, the better it's going to get, and the easier it's going to be to remember things. So that would be my last message. Do a lot of training with your brain, and your brain gonna stay healthy more for the longer time. So that being said, I'm gonna wish you a really really good day and good week, and I'm gonna see you next week. If you have any questions about anything I said, you can ask it in the comments, and I'm gonna be answering them the best I can. So have a good day. Bye.